Joining me are my colleagues Vishal Barrister is in Srinagar and Ankush Sharma is in Jammu. Vishal, to you first. Tell us more about the DGMO level talks and the big takeaways from those conversations.
Well, a very good evening to you, Ramesh. Right now I am at the Lal Chowk and Srinagar, and today has been quite a successful day as far as all those peace lovers from Kashmir they were expecting. And the second round of talk has been successful, and we get to know that though the meeting got a bit delayed, but in the end it was quite successful. A hotline meeting was arranged between the DGMO of India and the DGMO of Pakistan, and both sides they have discussed how to de-escalate things, though the schedule is still awaited. But let me tell you that the points that there will not be any firing was discussed, and there should be an immediate de-escalation of troops. Remember, during the MOD briefings we were informed that Pakistan is building up on the western front, and India has always been on the battle ready mode, both not only the army and the air force but even the navy, that includes the INS I beg your pardon, the INS Vikrant was also deployed in the northern part of the Arabian Sea. So the de-escalation is very much required, because unless the de-escalation is there, there would always be problems and there would always be tension. Ramesh?
Right. Ankush, what's the situation like in Jammu region?
The situation is in Jammu very normal right now, and there is no reports of cross-border shelling or drone activity spotted in the region, and the normalcy is has returned in the region, and the schools, all the schools will reopen tomorrow in Jammu region, excluding the border areas, and on the other hand, also the airport services also resumed in Jammu and as well as in Kashmir. So the situation is very normal here, and the as usual activities were also restored in Jammu region. And on the other hand, as we heard the address of Prime Minister Narendra Modi towards the nation, as Prime Minister Narendra Modi delivers a very strong message to the enemy that any terrorism activities will not allow in our land, and this is not an era of war, but it is also not an era of terrorism. So Prime Minister Narendra Modi conveys a very strong message to the enemy.
Indeed. Coming back to Vishal, some would say that this speech of the Prime Minister will go down in history as one of his best speeches so far. He made a number of points there, including catering to a foreign audience as well. What did you make of the central message of the Prime Minister's speech? And also in particular, Vishal, you spoke about Operation Sindoor, how it has set a new benchmark in India's fight against terrorism, and he outlined 3 key points. One, that going forward, India will give a befitting response to any Pakistani provocation, number 1. Number 2, no nuclear blackmail from this moment onwards. And last but not the least, India will not differentiate between the government of Pakistan or its agencies and terror organizations. Vishal.
Well, absolutely, Ramesh, this was very much loud and clear, and it was a very timed message by the Prime Minister, because today, after the DGMO meeting took place, Prime Minister took to the nation and also to the world. Because let me tell you that it is very important to tell the world, and all those who think that they can meddle in India's affair should keep away, because this is Kashmir belongs to us, Kashmir is ours. And the Prime Minister made it very clear that next time if we are going to talk to Pakistan, it would be on terrorism only, and also more importantly on the Pakistan occupied Kashmir. So very clearly Prime Minister underlined that Kashmir is an integral part of India, not only Jammu Kashmir and Ladakh, but also Pakistan occupied Jammu and Kashmir. This was his point. Then Prime Minister also said that any attempt of terror would be treated as an indication that yes, Pakistan is asking for trouble and India will go all out. It would be war against Pakistan. This time we have only given them a warning. We have only targeted their terror camps. We have only targeted all the terror enemies sponsored by Pakistan, but still not touching their military installations. But this should be very much clear that any other adventure by Pakistan would be treated with a befitting reply. The Operation Sindoor has shown to the world India's capability. And let me also, I would also like to remind you, Ramesh, Prime Minister of Pakistan, when he addressed the press conference and his nation, he said that I'm thankful to my friends from Turkey and China, but India never did it because India achieved all the goals on its own. India is capable of defending its borders. It does not need any help from outside or any negotiation from outside. So Operation Sindoor has proved the world-class air defense quality of the country. We all know how Akash has been very successful and how 10 years of self-reliance of the Indian Armed Forces and defense production has been very useful. So these were the highlights of the Prime Minister's speech, telling the world and the country that we are ready, armed forces are ready, and the countrymen need not worry about anything.
Indeed, Vishal, stay on. I'll come back to you momentarily. Coming back to you, Ankush, you referred to the Prime Minister's speech. How would an average person in Jammu tonight react to his speech, in which he spoke, among other things, he was very categorical that talks and terrorism cannot go hand in hand. Also, blood and water cannot be flowing together. And he also said that if talks will take place, they will only be on two things: terrorism and Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir. Ankush.
As Prime Minister Narendra Modi clarified that and also conveys a very strong message to the Pakistan that if there will be talks, then it will be only on Pakistan occupied Kashmir or on terrorism. And if I want to mention here that India is really to counter every act of terror and will never bow to threats or blackmail. So, and it also indicates that what is the future plans of India and how India is strongly planning to eradicate terrorism from roots, especially in Jammu and Kashmir. And if anything happens in future, then we already conveyed a very strong message that it will be considered as an act of war. Every citizen, every individual of Jammu and Kashmir stood with the Indian Army, stood with our security forces, with the shoulder to shoulder, and there is every person in Jammu and Kashmir is stand with our government and on the people who live in the border areas. We spoke with some of individuals. They also said that we are with our security forces, we are with our government, and the decision the government took earlier about the ceasefire, they also welcome the decision, and it is very clear from our side that there is no space for terrorism anymore.
Indeed, no space for terror, says my colleague Ankush Sharma in Jammu. Let me now go across to another of my colleagues, Debyendu Mondal, who is joining us from New Delhi. Debyendu, why don't you put the text of the Prime Minister's speech in its proper context for our viewers in India and around the world as well?
Well, Ramesh, the Prime Minister did not mince any words this time around when he was addressing the nation for the first time after the successful Operation Sindoor did take place. So therefore, this is of course a historic moment when, India for the first time entered into the deep territories of Pakistan, bombed their, had eliminated, neutralized their terrorist hubs, which is the Bahawalpur and Muridke, and apart from that, there were 7 other terrorist hubs in the Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, where the Indian forces were successful in eliminating with precision the targets that we had when we were planning their entire Operation Sindoor. Of course, the Prime Minister also spoke about how terror and trade cannot happen together, terror and talks cannot happen together, and he has given a very, very firm message on the Indus Water Treaty that water and blood cannot flow together. So therefore, it's a stern message to Pakistan. It also, the Prime Minister also said that Pakistan had a taste of the India's military prowess, the military might, because we could hit the targets, the terrorist hubs within Pakistan with precision, and of course, following which, Pakistan did some misadventure, and Indian forces were well prepared with their equipments, with their most advanced military equipments to neutralize those attempts by Pakistan. And he also mentioned how made in India, manufactured in India equipments were used in this particular operation, and how the government's push for Make in India has been a successful, which was demonstrated in this particular India-Pakistan conflict. So therefore, he also spoke about, how from now on, any act of terror on the soil of India will be considered as an act of war. This is a very, very stern message that has gone to Pakistan. It was in fact a cautionary message. It was a stern message to Pakistan, to the Pakistani military, that terror cannot flow like it used to in the earlier days, and Pakistan used to get away with it. Each terrorist act on the soil of India by Pakistan would be given a befitting reply. The Prime Minister also didn't mince his words when he said that the people who backed terrorists, or the people which he clearly indicated it could be the army or the military of Pakistan, which has been backing terrorists and giving terrorists shelter within Pakistan, they are equally involved in terror, and they will also be punished. So therefore, it's a clear message. It's a strong message to Pakistan that you cannot export terrorism and wage a proxy war against India. And the earlier policy of sending dossiers, having talks, negotiations are over. It will be any act of terror will of course be an act of war that India will consider. We will hit back. We will eliminate terrorists, and mind you, Ramesh, this action, this entire Operation Sindoor was against terrorists. The Prime Minister, the army, the military, in its successive press briefing, as well as the Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri in his successive press briefings, have categorically stated that India did not want any escalation. Our action was against the terrorists, and even we have seen that all our actions have been on the terrorist and the terrorist hubs, but it was Pakistan that escalated. And of course, as a matter of fact, that we needed to defend our country, our men, our civilians, and therefore we had to retaliate and hit back. And we did hit back very hard. So
Indeed.
of course, the message was loud and clear, and also he did speak about the global leaders, that for the global leaders also it is time that they take note of how Pakistan has been exporting terror to India, not just in India but also across the world. It is for the global leaders to see that Pakistan's terrorism, how Pakistan had been harboring, sheltering terrorists on their own soil, and also a clear message that nobody can meddle into the matters of India. And
Indeed.
India has taken, India has taken a stand that the matter between India and Pakistan is their own,
Absolutely.
and no foreign power can meddle in that
Indeed.
matter. Yes,
Devendra,
Ramesh.
thank you for inputs. Let me also take a moment to introduce my other colleague joining me from Bhuj in Gujarat. Meghna Dev is joining us. Meghna, stay on. I'll come back to you in just a bit. Let me in the meantime pull up some more news for viewers. Prime Minister Modi addressed the nation on Monday, delivering his first speech since the launch of Operation Sindoor on the 7th of May, India's military response to the Pahalgam terror attack. In his address, the Prime Minister said Pakistan seeks survival. It must dismantle its terror infrastructure. There is no other path to peace.